Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we are taking this incredible journey, really, into the heart of a single historical peninsula. We're comparing two capitals that, well, they've evolved into completely parallel universes, Pyongyang and Seoul.
It's fascinating stuff. Our source stack for this deep dive is just a masterclass in contrast.
Totally. It gives us these side-by-side views of, their architecture, their pop anthems, even down to their daily street slang.
It really is a study in ideological engineering, isn't it? Our mission today, I think, is to track how these two cities, I mean, they both came from the same ancient roots,
Right.
and both were nearly wiped off the map by the Korean War, how they managed their reconstruction so differently.
So differently that their national identities are now like polar opposites.
Exactly. We're tracking how resilience, that need to rebuild, led one city to create this, well, monument to state power, and the other
To become this global engine of cultural dynamism. Yeah. And that distinction, monument to power versus engine of dynamism, that seems to be the core takeaway here, right?
I mean, absolutely. Right from the start, the sources paint Pyongyang as the capital of the revolution. It was built explicitly to project unity, strength, and, crucially, that Juche ideology.
Okay, Juche, can you remind us what that means exactly?
Yeah, it translates roughly as self-reliance or maybe self-mastery. But in practice, for Pyongyang, it meant rebuilding the city not just, for its people, but as this symbolic centerpiece dedicated entirely to the governing philosophy.
Okay. And Seoul, totally different vibe.
Completely. It's the high-tech, fast-paced megacity defined by its sort of relentless pursuit of innovation and, critically, being the global epicenter of Hallyu.
The Korean wave,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Okay, let's unpack the shared history first, because you really can't understand the separation without acknowledging the scars.
Good point. They both share that ancient heritage Pyongyang was the capital of the Goguryeo kingdom.
And Seoul was Hanyang, capital of the Joseon dynasty.
Right. And then the shared trauma of the Japanese occupation, 1910 to 1945.
But the real crucible, the defining moment, was the Korean War.
Oh, absolutely. The sources really emphasize the near total annihilation of both cities between 1950 and 53.
Just devastating. Seoul especially changed hands 4 times during the fighting.
Imagine that. So the reconstruction phase, it wasn't just rebuilding. It was basically starting over from absolute scratch.
And this is where that huge fork in the road appears, Pyongyang.
Right. Rebuilt with significant Soviet architectural and financial support initially.
But they didn't just copy it, right?
No, it was quickly adapted to fit that Juche framework. It became this planned, showcase city, think wide boulevards, monumental symmetry.
It had to look like the ideology.
Exactly. Visually communicate self-reliance, unity, strength, and that dictates everything, even like who gets to live there.
We'll get to that. Meanwhile, Seoul, a completely different story.
Yeah, Seoul was undergoing what the world started calling the miracle on the Han River.
Driven by rapid industrialization, foreign investment.
It just rose incredibly fast from the ruins to become this economic powerhouse.
And that whole journey kind of culminated in hosting those huge global events,
Yeah.
like the '88 Olympics.
And the 2002 FIFA World Cup,
Yeah.
that really cemented its place as a global hub focused on trade, technology, a very different path.
The architecture is probably the clearest physical sign of these diverging goals. Pyongyang just goes for sheer, overwhelming grandeur. When you look at the Mansudae Grand Monument, those massive bronze statues of the leaders, or the Juche Tower, it's not really about utility, is it?
Not at all. It's about projecting immutable authority and scale.
Scale is key.
Definitely. And the sources make a point of noting, maybe a bit pointedly, that their Arch of Triumph is deliberately larger than the one in Paris.
Wow. Okay, so that's not subtle.
Not subtle at all. It's not just building things. It's a deliberate act of, ideological one-upmanship,
Oh.
asserting dominance over Western historical symbols.
Right. And what about that giant pyramid hotel, the Ryugyong?
Ah, yes. The 105-story pyramid skyscraper. Iconic. But yeah, mostly unused. It still acts as this powerful kind of silent commitment to a certain vision, even if it's not functional.
Okay, contrast that with Seoul. Its landmarks feel different. They seem to be more about adaptation, dynamism.
Exactly. Not fixed political statements. You've got the preserved Joseon royal sites like Jeonbokgung Palace,
Be careful.
blending right into something like Zaha Hadid's radically futuristic Dongdaemun Design Plaza.
That building is wild.
It is. And then you have the soaring height of the Lotte World Tower, which is all about modern economic ambition.
So the city's defined more by its functional hubs, like COEX Mall, the In Seoul Tower, the Han River itself.
Absolutely. The Han River is so central to daily life there. Seoul feels like an evolving canvas, not a finished, preserved monument like Pyongyang tries to be.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So this contrast in the physical space, it really sets the stage for the difference in like cultural expression and even who gets to participate in that culture.
It really does. And it's a huge difference in scale, too.
Right, population-wise.
Yeah. Pyongyang has around 3 million residents. But, and this is important, the sources stress that the population is highly curated.
Curated? What does that mean?
It means you generally have to belong to a family that's designated as core class. Basically, families trusted by the regime.
So not just anyone can move to Pyongyang.
Very few ordinary citizens from rural areas ever gain access. Public life is strictly controlled, always emphasizing unity.
Okay, wow. And Seoul?
Seoul scale is just overwhelming. Over 9 million people in the city proper, maybe 25 million in the whole metro area. And it's this incredibly competitive environment where cultural output is driven by market demand. It's the birthplace, the nerve center of that global K-pop machine. But it also drives global trends in fashion, gaming, K-dramas, the whole Hallyu package.
So when we look at performance, the styles must be completely different too.
Oh, totally. Pyongyang specializes in what you might call the mass spectacle.
Like the Orang Festival.
Exactly. The mass games, you have tens of thousands of people involved in synchronized gymnastics, music, dance.
Incredible precision.
Flawless, unified obedience. It's art designed to sort of erase the individual and highlight the collective.
Okay. And on the Seoul side?
It's almost the opposite. The focus is on hyper-individualized talent, but then amplified through this massive industrialized production system.
K-pop.
K-pop is the prime example. But even traditional music, gugak, Korean court and folk music, it's still performed. But the commercial heart of the city is pure K-pop energy.
But it's not just K-pop, right?
Yeah.
The sources mentioned other scenes.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Our sources also highlight these really thriving underground scenes, particularly in areas like Hongdae. You find cutting-edge hip-hop, EDM, lots happening beneath the mainstream surface.
Okay, let's talk about the music itself, because that must really encapsulate the ideological divide.
It absolutely does. Pyongyang's official scene is dominated by, well, revolutionary operas and marching songs. Anthems like No Motherland Without You, very bombastic.
Right. But there are those state-sanctioned pop groups, too.
Yes, and they're fascinating. Like the Marinbang Band, an all-female group, they mix electronic pop sounds with fiercely patriotic lyrics.
So it's like the state trying to co-opt modern music styles.
Exactly. It's the perfect embodiment of state control trying to harness or maybe neutralize modern forms of expression.
And there's another group, the Samjian Orchestra.
Right. They lean more classical and traditional, often used specifically for cultural diplomacy, presenting a softer image.
Okay. And Seoul's music.
Driven entirely by innovation, constant reinvention, K-pop anthems have to stay fresh to compete globally.
And the sources mentioned a kind of hybrid approach.
Yeah, this was interesting. Taking that high-energy K-pop framework and blending it with traditional gugak textures. So you might hear a gayajium that's a traditional plucked zither, right alongside modern synth pads or heavy trap beats and EDM bass drops. It's quite a mix.
Wow. But they both still perform Ering, the folk song.
Yes, both sides perform Ering. It's a shared piece of heritage, but the context and the feeling behind it radically different in each capital.
Okay, that makes sense. So that leads us from the grand spectacle, the music, down to like the daily stuff.
Exactly. Daily life, style, even food.
Right. If we zoom into the kitchen, the food must reflect resources and culture too.
Naturally.
Yeah.
And here you really see the practical results of, self-reliance versus global capitalism.
So in Pyongyang, what's the iconic dish?
It's the naengmyeon, Pyongyang cold noodles. Buckwheat noodles served in a cold, often sharp broth. It reflects the unique northern kimchi varieties and generally simpler meals, which is frankly necessitated by limited agricultural resources up north. It's tradition, but shaped by necessity.
Okay. And Seoul, predictably.
Abundance. Endless choice. You have global influences everywhere, but the local staples are huge. Samgyeopsal, the pork belly BBQ everyone loves.
Well, yeah.
Bibimbap, gimbap, endless amazing street food. But what really marks Seoul, I think, is the cafe culture and the creative dessert scene. It's huge online.
Totally. It's a city obsessed with aesthetics and presentation in its food that exists right alongside, high-end fine dining and Michelin stars.
And does that obsession with aesthetics carry over into fashion?
Directly. In Pyongyang, for festivals, women often wear the traditional chosnot, the hanbok, usually in very bright colors.
Okay.
But day-to-day, men are typically seen in military uniforms or those Mao-style suits. Modern Western-style fashion is heavily restricted.
Except for those sanctioned groups again, like Moranbong.
Exactly. They're the exception. They're allowed to blend a kind of pop style with their uniforms, but it's still very controlled, very formal.
And Seoul, I mean, it's a fashion capital.
Oh, absolutely. A major fashion capital in Asia. Trends move at lightning speed. You see the whole spectrum from that chic, minimalist K fashion
Right.
to bold, experimental streetwear, especially in areas like Hongdae or Gangnam.
And the school uniforms, they're kind of iconic too. They really are. They're not just clothes. They're deeply integrated into K-dramas, youth culture. They've become part of Seoul's global identity in a weird way.
So let's talk about the ultimate identity markers, language and mottos. The division must be complete here.
It really is. In the north, the Pyongyang dialect is considered standard Korean, and their official slogans demand collective obedience, total loyalty.
Like what?
Things like, let us live our own way, which sounds independent but means their way, and single-hearted unity, very collective.
Single-hearted unity.
Right? A leader's public appearance isn't just, an event. It has this stiff, functional designation, a noble or one event.
Very bureaucratic.
Very. Now, contrast that with Seoul. The dialect there is the basis of modern standard Korean globally, and the slang reflects this incredibly dynamic, fast-changing culture.
Like dieback.
Exactly. Dieback for awesome or jackpot. Or aegyo, that sort of cute behavior. Uppa for older brother or boyfriend figure.
And fighting.
Fighting, yeah, meaning good luck or you can do it.
Yeah.
It's all very expressive, very individualistic. And the city's current motto,
I see you.
I see you, which, well, it tries to capture that interconnected, dynamic vibe. Very different feel.
Okay, now let's turn to how these verbal slogans, these different vibes, transition into the actual music, the sound of these capitals.
Yeah, perfect transition.
We've seen how the systems structure the skylines, the food, the clothes. How do they structure the sound?
It's the perfect synthesis, really. The source material describes the typical Pyongyang song as a patriotic revolutionary opera.
Okay. Sounds intense.
It is. It has this cinematic industrial vibe. Think huge scale. It features driving percussion, massive choirs, really aggressive brass fanfares. It's music designed to be heard in a giant parade square.
And the themes and the lyrics, what are they hitting?
Discipline, grandeur, loyalty, always loyalty. And the lyrics often focus on that theme of resilience, reconstruction, literally rising from the ashes. Yeah. It's this relentless musical statement that the capital, Pyongyang, is the proud, single-hearted core of the revolution, a place that will never, ever deviate from its course.
Wow. Okay. And the soul song?
A
total shift.
A radical contrast. It's described as a true hybrid. K-pop meets traditional gugak textures, but it's also heavily influenced by underground hip-hop and EDM. The whole thing is marked by this dynamic, almost frantic pace.
So it embraces the mix.
Totally. The song explicitly celebrates duality. You hear the traditional pungi, that's the sound of the large bamboo flute, crashing right into a massive floor-shaking EDM bass drop. It's intentionally jarring in a way.
And the themes there, what's the vibe?
It reflects that competitive, dynamic environment. Dynamic and fast-paced. It even calls itself touching the city of awesome or the city of the jackpot.
Dabaki dosi. Nice.
Yeah, and the lyrics mention everything all at once. The ancient palaces, the Han River, the modern Gangnam nightlife, the Lottie Tower. It all exists simultaneously.
A bit chaotic, maybe.
Maybe. There's a line. Okay. Solingo. Soul doesn't sleep, it doesn't collapse. It embodies that constant, maybe exhausting, but definitely relentless commercialized movement.
Okay. So summing this all up.
Yeah.
What's the big takeaway from looking at these two cities side by side through all these different lenses?
Well, what really stands out across all these sources is that both cities share this immense, almost ferocious pride and resilience. You can't deny that.
Right. They both rebuilt from total destruction.
Exactly. But Pyongyang directed that intense energy inward toward collective loyalty, establishing this physical and cultural monument to its guiding ideology, demanding homogeneity, uniformity.
Well, Seoul.
Seoul channeled that same energy outward into becoming this dynamic, hyper-competitive, and globally influential economic and cultural engine, demanding perpetual innovation, constant change.
So thinking about this for you, the listener, what does this all mean? When you hear those contrasting musical statements or look at the competing city mottos, single-hearted unity versus I see you, what we're really seeing are two profoundly isolated identities built on one shared traumatic history.
Mm-hmm.
So the final thought to chew on is this. How much does the framing of traditional culture shift? Think about the Hanbok or those ancient palace sites in Seoul sitting right in the shadow of the Lotte Tower. How does their meaning change when that culture is placed within a fiercely competitive, globalized market context compared to when it's placed within a strictly revolutionary, highly controlled, state-managed context?
Yeah, does tradition mean the same thing in both places?
Exactly. The very meaning of tradition seems to shift based on the system it operates within. Something to think about.
A provocative thought indeed.
Until next time, keep digging.